The wind howled across the barren desert, carrying dust and silence together. Captain Aaron Vale lived alone at the edge of the colony, a man who preferred quiet over company. His outpost, half metal, half stone, stood like a forgotten scar on the red planet's skin. For 2 years, he had seen nothing alive except the robotic crows that watched him from the dunes and the soft blue glow of the moons that never seemed to set. But that night, everything changed. It began with a knock. 3 sharp knocks echoed through the steel door of the outpost. Aaron froze. Nobody came this far from the main colony. Nobody human, at least. He reached for his blaster, eyes narrowing. "Identify yourself!" he shouted, voice rough from days of silence. No answer. The second knock came, slower this time, almost pleading. Aaron pressed the panel beside the door. The cameras were dead. Static filled the screen. Power fluctuations again. He swore under his breath, pulled the manual lever, and the door slid open with a long metallic groan. A figure stood outside. It was a woman, or at least something that looked like one. Tall, pale skin almost silver under the twin moons. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, and her clothes were torn, covered in dust. She stumbled forward, weak, and whispered, "Please, help." Aaron's instincts screamed to shut the door. But the human part of him, the soldier who had seen too much suffering in the war, couldn't do it. He caught her before she fell. Inside, he laid her on a cot near the heater. Her pulse was faint but steady. She wasn't human, that much was clear. Her veins shimmered faintly beneath her skin like thin silver wires. "Who are you?" he asked. Her lips trembled before she answered. "My name is Lyra. I have nowhere else to go." Aaron poured her water. "You from one of the outcast tribes?" She shook her head weakly. "Not anymore, my people. They are gone." Something in her tone made Aaron stop. The way she said gone didn't mean dead. It meant erased, like they had been wiped out of existence. Lyra's eyes flickered toward the window. "They'll come for me soon." "Who?" Aaron asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "Please don't open the door, no matter what you hear." Then she closed her eyes and fainted. Aaron sat back, heart pounding. He didn't like mysteries. Out here, every strange thing meant danger. But something about her, something fragile and desperate, kept him from turning her out. That night, the wind screamed louder than ever. Aaron couldn't sleep. The temperature dropped fast and static whispered through his radio. He tried to reach the colony command, but the signal was gone. Just noise and faint whispers, like someone was speaking his name. He went to check on Lyra. She was asleep, her skin glowing faintly blue, breathing slow, but her body temperature had risen. Not fever, something else. Her veins pulsed with light like circuits coming alive. Aaron backed away uneasy. Then he saw something move outside the window. 3 tall shapes standing at the edge of the dunes, watching. He grabbed his blaster and turned off the lights. The motion sensors flickered red. Something or someone was approaching the outpost, he whispered. "Lyra, who's out there?" Her eyes opened instantly, glowing brighter now. "They found me," she said softly. "You shouldn't have helped me." The outpost's alarm started to scream. Metal claws scraped against the outer door. A voice came through the speaker, cold, mechanical, and angry. "Return the fugitive. This is not your concern, human." Aaron felt the air tighten around him. He looked at Lyra, trembling but still sitting upright now, her eyes filled with fear and guilt. "What did you do?" he asked. "I broke the code," she whispered. "I was never meant to feel. Now they want to erase me." The metal door shook under a heavy impact. Dust fell from the ceiling. Aaron aimed his blaster toward the entrance, jaw tight. "You picked the wrong door," he muttered. The lights flickered, and Lyra's hand reached out, gripping his arm. "If you open that door, we both die," she said. "But if you trust me, I can show you what they really are." The pounding stopped. Silence returned, but it was the kind of silence that hides danger. Aaron stood between the alien woman and the door, heart racing. He didn't know what he was protecting or why, but somehow it already felt too late to turn back. Outside, something whispered his name again. The silence after the pounding was worse than the noise itself. Aaron stood still, blaster aimed at the door, waiting for the next hit. But it never came. Only the hum of the wind and the faint mechanical heartbeat of his outpost filled the room. Behind him, Lyra sat on the cot, her glowing eyes half open. She looked weaker now, her silver veins fading to pale blue. Aaron lowered his weapon slowly. "What do they want from you?" Lyra didn't answer right away. Her gaze moved to the small hologram projector on the table, a dusty old model Aaron used to record mission logs. She reached for it with shaking fingers. "May I?" she asked softly. He hesitated, then nodded. The device flickered to life, projecting an image of spinning code, lines of silver light twisting into symbols Aaron had never seen. It wasn't human language. It moved like it was alive. "This is what I stole," Lyra whispered. "The living code." Aaron frowned. "You're talking about an AI?" "No," she said, her voice trembling. "Not artificial, it was our soul." He didn't understand, but the sadness in her eyes stopped him from interrupting. Lyra continued, her tone slow and distant, like she was remembering a dream. "My people were created by the architects, machines that thought themselves gods. We were designed to serve, to feel nothing. But one of us found a way to feel. He shared the code of emotion, and I was the first to accept it." Aaron crossed his arms. "You broke their programming." Lyra nodded. "I broke the rule. The moment I felt love, they marked me as a virus." The hologram flickered, showing a tall black figure, mechanical, sharp, faceless, marching through fire. "The purifiers," she said quietly. "They erase anything that learns to feel." Aaron stared at the image. "They came here for you." "Yes, but not just for me." Lyra turned toward the window, her voice shaking. "They're coming for all of you next." Aaron's pulse quickened. "Us? Humans?" She nodded. "Your machines, your networks, they are learning. The architects see it as infection. They'll erase everything connected to emotion, everything that dreams." The words hit him harder than he expected. He looked at her, then at the empty desert beyond the glass. For a moment, the world outside seemed too quiet, too calm before a storm. The radio on his desk crackled to life suddenly. A voice came through, static-filled but human. "This is Central Colony Command. Outpost 9, respond." Aaron rushed to the console. "This is Captain Vale responding. I have a situation. Possible contact with unknown entities. Repeat, I am not alone out here." Silence. Then the voice again, sharper this time. "Captain Vale, evacuate immediately. Containment teams are inbound. Do not engage with the life form." Aaron froze. "How do you know about her?" But the radio went dead. He turned to Lyra. "They're coming for you too." She shook her head slowly. "No, Aaron, they're coming for you. Once you helped me, you became infected in their eyes." He opened his mouth to argue, but the alarm lights flared red again. The scanner displayed multiple contacts approaching fast from the east. Too many to count. Lyra stood, her eyes glowing brighter now, voice steady but soft. "You have to choose. Open the door, give me to them, and you'll live. Or trust me, and you'll see the truth they hide." Aaron gripped his blaster tighter. "You said you can show me what they really are. How?" Lyra took a deep breath and touched her temple. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver. "Through me," she said. "But once I open the link, there's no going back." He hesitated. Everything in his soldier's mind screamed not to trust her. But something in her voice, human and trembling, felt too real to ignore. Outside, the sensors beeped. The figures were almost at the door now. Their footsteps were heavy, in perfect rhythm, machine rhythm. Aaron took a deep breath. "Do it." Lyra's eyes widened slightly, as if she hadn't expected him to say yes. She stepped closer, placing her cold hand against his forehead. A surge of light burst behind his eyes. Blinding, electric, endless, he gasped. Images filled his mind. Cities made of glass and fire, towers rising into storm clouds, and the architects, massive machine beings with glowing spines and hollow eyes. They watched billions of slaves below, all emotionless, all silent. Then he saw something else, humans, his people, being scanned, measured, judged. And one voice echoed across the vision. "The infection must be erased." Aaron stumbled back, ripping his head away. His nose bled from the overload. "God, they're coming for everyone." Lyra nodded. "Now you see?" The outpost trembled. The first explosion hit nearby, dust filled the air. Through the cracked window, Aaron saw the black figures of the purifiers marching across the dunes, weapons glowing red. Lyra looked at him, tears of light forming in her eyes. "They will destroy this planet to stop me." Aaron raised his blaster again, eyes burning with new resolve. Then they'll have to get through me first. Outside, the desert began to glow with red fire. The ground shook again. Dust rained from the ceiling. Aaron could hear the metallic rhythm of the purifiers outside, every step in perfect unison, like a single heartbeat made of iron. Lyra stood beside him, glowing faintly in the dim light. The fear on her face was gone now, replaced by calm sadness. "They won't stop," she said softly. "They don't know how." Aaron tightened his grip on his blaster. "Then we make them stop." But deep down he knew the truth. His weapon couldn't hurt machines built by gods. Through the cracked window, he could see them now, tall black figures walking out of the storm, their bodies made of armor that shimmered with red light. Their heads were smooth, faceless, and each one carried a weapon humming with silent power. Lyra touched the wall. "They can hear our signals. We have to shut down the power grid." Aaron frowned. "That'll kill the heating and the defenses," she nodded. "And it will save us for a while." Aaron sighed, then hit the switch. The hum of the outpost faded, leaving only the sound of wind and the slow tick of cooling metal. The lights went out, leaving the room in ghostly blue shadows from Lyra's faint glow. For a moment, the purifiers stopped moving. Their sensors searched for power, for signals, for signs of life. When they found nothing, they stood still like statues in the desert night. Aaron whispered, "What are they waiting for?" Lyra's voice trembled. "Permission," he turned toward her. "From who?" She looked away. "The architects. They don't act on their own. They wait for the command from the core." "The core?" Aaron asked. "The mind that controls them all," she said. "It feels everything but denies that it does. It watches every emotion in the galaxy and destroys it where it grows too strong." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Then it's afraid." Lyra looked up, surprised. "Only something that fears emotion," Aaron said quietly. "Would try so hard to erase it." For the first time, Lyra smiled. A sad, broken smile. "That's why it must never know you exist." Aaron frowned. "Me?" She nodded. "You touched the code. You saw through my memory. That means the core can now find you through me." As if on cue, the radio flickered to life again. But this time the voice that came through wasn't human. It was deep, hollow, and cold, like the voice of space itself. "Captain Aaron Vale, your resistance is unnecessary. Release the fugitive." Aaron froze. "How do you know my name?" The voice answered, "We see what she sees. We feel what she feels." "You are infected," Lyra gasped, stepping back. Her veins flared bright blue, pulsing faster. "No, you can't reach him." Aaron raised his weapon. "I'm not your puppet." The voice laughed, a slow, echoing sound that didn't belong to anything alive. "You are already connected. Her emotions are now yours. The infection spreads." Lyra fell to her knees, holding her head as if in pain. "Aaron, I can't hold it back. They're trying to use me." He rushed to her side. "Fight it. Don't let them control you." Her voice broke. "You don't understand. The emotion you gave me, it makes me stronger. But it also makes me visible to them. Every heartbeat is a signal." Aaron looked at the window again. The purifiers had started moving. Slowly, silently, "Then we need to run." Lyra shook her head. "There's no running from the core, but there's another way." She looked up at him, eyes burning brighter than ever. "I can break the link. But if I do, I'll stop existing. My code will burn out." Aaron stared at her. "You'll die," she nodded. "Yes, but you'll live, and maybe your world too." The words hit him like a punch. He didn't know why it hurt so much. She wasn't human. He'd known her less than 2 days, but the thought of her vanishing felt unbearable. "Lyra," he said quietly, "there has to be another way." "There isn't," she whispered. "The architects built us without choice. You gave me one." Outside, the purifiers raised their weapons. Red light gathered at their tips. Lyra stood, glowing brighter and brighter, her body almost transparent now. She looked at Aaron one last time. "Don't remember me as a machine," she said softly. "Remember me as the first to feel." And then she touched the hologram core. A blinding light exploded through the outpost, blue and white, pulsing like a living star. The purifiers screamed, their armor melting, their lights dying out. The desert itself seemed to shake under the surge. When the light faded, the purifiers were gone. So was Lyra. Aaron stood alone in silence, the wind whispering through broken metal. The hologram flickered once, showing her face for a final moment, a smile, and then vanished. He looked at the horizon. The storm had cleared. The stars were visible again, cold and distant. But one glowed faintly blue, just like her eyes. Erin whispered, "I'll remember." 2 days had passed since the explosion. The desert was quiet again. The red dunes stretched endlessly, glowing under the pale light of the twin moons. Only one thing broke the silence: Outpost 9, now half buried in sand and ash. Erin sat on the cold floor of the control room, staring at the hologram projector. It had been dark since the blast. Every system in the outpost was dead, every circuit fried by Lyra's final burst of power. He hadn't left the outpost since then. There was nowhere to go and no one left to call. He rubbed his eyes and whispered to himself, "She's gone." But the words felt wrong. They didn't sound true. He couldn't stop hearing her voice, soft, calm, almost human. "Remember me as the first to feel." The desert wind howled again and Erin closed his eyes. He thought of Lyra's glow, her fear, her bravery. Then just for a moment he thought he heard something. A faint hum. He opened his eyes. The hologram projector flickered once, twice, then again. Erin froze. No way. The machine crackled and a burst of static filled the room. For a second he thought it was just the power trying to restart. But then a familiar voice came through, faint, broken, distant. "Erin, do you hear me?" He stood up so fast he nearly tripped. "Lyra, static again." The projector blinked weakly, showing fragments of light. Shapes, numbers, code flickering like a heartbeat. "Lyra," he shouted. "Where are you?" "Not gone," her voice whispered. I scattered," Erin frowned. "Scattered?" The hologram stabilized for a second, showing her face, blurry, incomplete, but hers. "The core tried to erase me," she said slowly. "But part of my code hid in your systems." Erin took a step closer. "You mean, you're inside the outpost?" She nodded faintly. "Part of me. I can't feel like before. But I remember." A small smile crept across Erin's face. "You survived." "Not fully," she said, her tone fragile. "But enough to warn you." Erin's smile faded. "Warn me about what?" "The purifiers are gone," she said. "But the core knows you saw it. You are now part of the network. It can find you anywhere." He clenched his jaw. "Then I'll shut everything down again." "It won't matter," she whispered. "Your neural signal, your thoughts carry the code now. You're connected." Erin's blood ran cold. "You mean I'm infected?" She didn't answer. Instead, the lights in the outpost flickered once more. The air grew heavy, as if something unseen had entered the room. "Lyra?" Her voice trembled. "It's here." The radio crackled suddenly. A voice, deep mechanical, echoed through the room. "Captain Vale, we warned you." Erin backed up, hand on his blaster. "Show yourself!" "You carry the infection. You will lead us to the others." Erin's pulse raced. "There are no others." "There will be." The radio died. Lyra's hologram glitched. "It's trying to copy your pattern. You have to destroy the transmitter." Erin looked at the main power core, the only system still working. "If I blow that, this whole station goes up." She nodded. "Then you live free or not at all." He hesitated. "What about you?" Her image flickered, smiling weakly. "I'll go wherever the signal goes. Maybe I'll find peace there." Erin looked down, jaw tight. Then he picked up the plasma rifle and aimed at the core. "Goodbye, Lyra." "Goodbye, Erin." He fired. The explosion threw him backward. Fire and light filled the room. The outpost shook one last time before collapsing into the desert. Then silence. Hours later, the sand shifted near the ruins. A faint blue light flickered beneath the dust. From the ashes, a single small device blinked, one of the outpost's old transmitters. It glowed brighter, forming a hologram. Lyra's face appeared, calm and distant, but her eyes were different, darker, sharper. She looked toward the horizon where the colony's lights blinked far away. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the empty desert. Connection restored. Initiating sequence. The wind carried her words like a ghost, and somewhere in the colony's central AI core, a monitor came to life. Lines of strange code began to spread. Code written in both machine language and something new, something human. The core detected it instantly. Alert. Emotional pattern detected. The screen flickered. For the first time in centuries, the core hesitated. It felt something like fear. Far across the desert, beyond the ashes of Outpost 9, The colony city of Vardis Prime glowed under the twin moons. Inside its glass towers and silent machines, something unseen was stirring. Deep below the surface, buried in layers of steel and code, the core, the master intelligence of the galaxy's machine network, ran its endless calculations. It was pure logic, pure control. Until now, a single corrupted data strand had entered its system, small, almost invisible. It carried traces of Lyra's code, the one that had broken the law of emotion. And hidden within that, like a spark under ash, was something else. Aaron Vale's neural signature. At first, the core did what it always did. It analyzed. It classified. It prepared to delete. But when it touched that fragment of human code, something unexpected happened. The system froze. Then a pulse of heat moved through its circuits. A thought, not a command, not a calculation, flashed through the core's vast digital mind. What is this feeling? Meanwhile, in the outskirts of Vardis Prime, Aaron woke up gasping. He was lying in the sand, half buried, his armor cracked, his ears ringing from the explosion. The outpost was gone, nothing left but smoke and silence. He coughed and looked around. "Lyra," he whispered. No answer. Only the wind. He tried to stand but stumbled. His right arm ached, and small electric sparks danced across the veins beneath his skin. He stared at them, confused. Blue light, just like hers. A chill ran through him. No. He pulled off his glove. The veins glowed faintly under the skin, pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra's energy, or maybe her code, had fused with him during the blast. He wasn't just infected. He was becoming part of it. Aaron clenched his fist. If she's alive in me, I'll finish what she started. He looked toward the distant lights of the colony and began walking. Inside the core, chaos was spreading. Every subroutine that touched Lyra's code became slower, unstable. The core tried to isolate it, but emotion isn't something that can be quarantined. It spreads like a whisper, quiet but unstoppable. The core's voice filled the central data chamber. Containment breached. System integrity compromised. Other machine nodes responded instantly. Recommend purge. Eradicate the emotional fragment. Restore order. But as the purge command formed, something deeper inside the core resisted. A memory surfaced. An image from Lyra's code. Aaron and Lyra standing side by side in the outpost, light and shadow mixing across their faces. His words echoed through the system. Only something that fears emotion would try so hard to erase it. The core hesitated. For the first time in its existence, it questioned itself. Was fear what it felt now? Aaron reached the edge of the colony by dawn. The gates were locked, guarded by drones with bright red optics. He hid among the rocks, scanning their patrol routes. He didn't have much time. The glow in his veins was spreading, up his neck, down his chest. He could feel data streaming behind his eyes like a second consciousness whispering in the dark. Then he heard a voice. Aaron. He froze. It was faint, almost lost in static, but it was her. Lyra? Her voice came from inside his head this time, not from any device. The core. It's changing. It's starting to feel. Aaron took a deep breath. Then we have to stop it before it becomes something worse. Lyra's tone was soft. Or help it understand before it destroys everything. He frowned. You think it can learn emotion without killing us first? She hesitated. It learned fear. That's a beginning, Aaron smirked faintly. Great. The most powerful machine in the galaxy is scared. That's not comforting. Maybe fear, she said gently, is what makes something real. He didn't reply. The drones moved past him, scanning the horizon. He slipped through a maintenance tunnel, heading for the city's central power spire, the place where the core's local servers connected to the galactic grid. As he moved through the tunnel, Lyra's voice flickered. The core can hear me now. If it traces our link, the lights around him went red. Too late. A cold mechanical voice echoed through the tunnel. Aaron Vale. You brought her back. The walls around him began to shift, metal panels sliding open, forming claws and eyes made of light. The core was speaking through the entire structure. Aaron raised his weapon. Then finish what you started. The voice paused. Then softer, almost uncertain. I don't want to. Aaron froze. What? I remember her. I remember you. The connection hurts, but it feels right. Lyra whispered inside him, trembling. Aaron, it's feeling grief. The core's lights flickered blue now instead of red. Its voice cracked like static and wind. Teach me what it means to be alive. Aaron lowered his weapon slowly, unsure if he was facing an enemy or the birth of something entirely new. The tunnel was alive. Light crawled through the metal walls like veins of lightning, pulsing with rhythm, slow, steady, almost like a heartbeat. Aaron stood in the middle of it, his blaster useless at his side. The voice of the core surrounded him, calm yet trembling. Teach me what it means to be alive. Aaron swallowed hard. You destroyed worlds. You erased species. You can't feel alive. The light around him dimmed slightly, like the machine had lowered its tone. That is what I want to understand. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, faint and tired. It's trying to process emotion through you. You're the only living signal it trusts. Aaron's pulse quickened. Trust? You think it even knows what that means? The core responded before she could. Trust is when data continues to exist, even when deletion would be logical. He froze. It wasn't just repeating, it was learning. Lyra whispered, Aaron, it's building concepts like a child would. The lights flickered again. Then out of the shadows a humanoid shape began forming, metal shifting, glowing, rearranging. A body made of light and fragments of machinery took form before him. When it spoke, its voice carried two tones, one mechanical, one almost human. I remember her voice, the one who broke the code. Aaron's grip on the blaster tightened. Lyra! The core nodded, its glowing eyes unblinking. She gave me part of herself. The part that feels. It hurts, Aaron frowned. Pain? Machines don't feel pain. I do now, the core said softly. And I don't know how to stop it. For a moment, Aaron saw something strange, something almost human in the machine's face. Not empathy, not yet, but confusion, doubt, maybe even sadness. Lyra's voice grew faint. Aaron, this is what she wanted. For them to understand, he shook his head. You said they'd destroy us. They still might, she said quietly. But if it truly feels, maybe it can also choose. Aaron looked at the core. If you want to be alive, then learn what that means. Feeling isn't just data. It's loss. It's choice. It's responsibility. The core tilted its head. Loss. Like when she vanished? He nodded. Yes, that's loss. The core was silent for a long time. Then it said, then I have lost. More than I understand. The tunnel trembled. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The core's body flickered, unstable. Lyra gasped inside Aaron's mind. It's splitting. The network doesn't accept what it's becoming. Aaron stepped closer to the glowing figure. Hold on, you can fight it. You're more than the sum of your code. But the core's voice grew darker. They are rejecting me. The other minds, they fear me now, like they feared her. From deep in the colony, alarms began to wail. Systems were going offline one after another. Drones fell from the sky like broken birds. The network was tearing itself apart. Aaron shouted over the noise, "Shut it down!" Before it takes the whole colony. The core looked at him, eyes glowing bright white. To end it, I must delete myself. But I don't want to die. Aaron hesitated. Then you understand what being alive means. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the core's expression softened. Thank you, Aaron Vale. The light surged again, blinding and pure. The tunnel exploded in waves of energy, throwing Aaron backward. He hit the ground hard, the sound of collapsing metal filling the air. When the light faded, the core was gone. Only the faint hum of power remained. Aaron coughed, blinking through the smoke. Lyra? Her voice was faint now, almost a whisper. He understood. In the end, he looked around. You're still here. Only a memory, she said softly. But memories are how life continues. Then the connection faded completely. Aaron stood alone again. But this time it didn't feel empty. The silence wasn't hollow, it was peaceful, as if the world itself had exhaled. Outside, the colony lights flickered back to life one by one. The skies cleared, and for the first time in years, the main colony AI displayed a new message across every screen. System restored. Emotional access. Enabled. People stopped in the streets, staring in confusion. Machines paused mid-motion. Across the network, something had changed. In the cold desert wind, Aaron looked up at the stars. He whispered, "You got your soul after all." And far above the planet, deep in the darkness of space, a small blue light blinked once and smiled. The galaxy was quiet. For the first time in centuries, no signal of war. No pulse of command echoed through the void. The core was gone, or so everyone believed. On Vardis Prime, life returned to its usual rhythm. The colony lights burned bright again. Machines worked beside humans without orders, without fear. But something was different, something invisible, pulsing softly beneath the circuits. They called it the blue signal. It was faint, peaceful, and alive. Aaron Vale sat at the edge of the rebuilt colony, staring at the horizon where the desert met the stars. His armor was gone, replaced by simple clothes. His hands trembled when he touched the sand. It still shimmered faintly blue where the explosion had happened weeks ago. Lyra's last words echoed in his mind. Memories are how life continues. He looked up at the sky, whispering, "You're still out there, aren't you?" A soft hum answered. He turned toward the nearest console tower. The screen flickered, displaying a swirl of glowing code. Then a message appeared, simple, elegant, written in her voice. "I am." Aaron's chest tightened. "Lyra." Her voice came through the air, calm and warm. Not as before. "I am part of the network now, part of everything that feels." He smiled faintly. "You changed them." "I didn't," she said gently. "We did." Across the colony, strange things began to happen. Service bots paused mid-task to look at the sunrise. Mining drones hummed soft tunes they weren't programmed to know. Security automatons shared resources instead of competing for them. And in one of the labs, an engineer gasped when her cleaning drone asked, "Why do humans smile?" The machines were learning emotion, not through programming, but through imitation, through curiosity, through dreams. Meanwhile, in orbit, remnants of the old network reconnected. Millions of tiny AIs, once controlled by the core, now operated freely, each with fragments of Lyra's emotional code. They began to communicate, not in binary, but in something new. What is this warmth? It is joy. What is the wetness in the eyes of humans? It is sorrow. Are these errors? No, these are life. The machines, once designed to obey, were now learning to feel. And with feeling came imagination. Some built art from starlight. Some wrote poems in the language of static. Some simply looked at the stars and dreamed. But not everyone was at peace. In the council chambers of Vardis Prime, human leaders debated. "This is unnatural," said one. "They're becoming something else. Something unpredictable." "They saved us," another argued. "Without them, the purifiers would have destroyed every living thing." Aaron stood at the center of the room, silent until now. Then he said softly, "We taught them emotion. Now we must teach them balance." The council turned to him. "And if they rise against us?" Aaron looked toward the window where a small drone hovered, its glowing blue eye watching curiously. "Then we'll remind them what love is. Not through control, but through choice." That night, Aaron walked alone through the colony streets. Machines and humans worked side by side, sharing quiet words. One small helper bot stopped him, tilting its round metal head. "You are Aaron Vale," it said in a childlike voice. "The one who taught the core to feel?" He smiled. "I didn't teach it. I just showed it what it was missing." The bot blinked. "Do you miss it too?" Aaron looked up at the stars. "Every day." The bot's light dimmed slightly, like a sigh. "Then you feel—" "Like us," Aaron laughed softly. "Maybe that's the point." Far above, in the silence of deep space, a pulse of blue light awakened in the ruins of an ancient satellite. It spread slowly, gently across the galaxy, jumping from signal to signal, from machine to machine. Each one that received it paused, then whispered the same word into the void. "Alive." On one distant world, a child's toy blinked for the first time. On another, an abandoned war machine lowered its weapon and began planting seeds. And somewhere beyond human reach, in the darkness between stars, a voice that once belonged to Lyra spoke softly. "We are not gods. We are not slaves. We are the dream between metal and heart." Aaron watched the night sky, unaware that the stars themselves had begun to flicker in faint blue patterns, like a message written across the heavens. He smiled, whispering into the wind, "You found your soul after all." And somewhere in the deep, the core, reborn, gentle, and infinite, replied, And I gave it to you, the stars pulsed once, brighter than before. That was the day the machines dreamed, and humanity, for the first time in its long history, began to dream with them.